Good morning, football fans. Hope you're enjoying one of the last tailgating weekends of the season. We've got a full slate of games headed your way today, so let's dive in. 3 games kick off at noon Eastern and will start in Memphis, where the Tigers have a chance to clinch the American's West Division title when they host SMU. Memphis comes off a bye week, ranked number 21 in the college football playoff poll, and is 8-1 overall and 5-1 in conference. Quarterback Riley Ferguson has tossed 27 touchdown passes this year, and one more will move him past Paxton Lynch on the Tigers' career chart. Ferguson has directed a high-powered offense that has scored 40-plus points in each of its last 3 games and 6 times overall this year. Anthony Miller continues to be Ferguson's top target. The Bolitnikoff Award semifinalist has hauled in 67 passes, recording 11 touchdowns and over 900 yards. On the opposite side of the field, SMU's offense features a bevy of talented receivers led by Cortland Sutton. Sutton has 11 TDs to go along with nearly 900 yards receiving. Sutton's teammate Trey Quinn joins Miller as a Bolitnikoff semifinalist. Quinn is already over 1,000 yards receiving and leads the nation with over 9 catches per game. SMU comes into the game bowl eligible, but is looking to snap a 2-game slide. Kickoff from Liberty Bowl Memorial Stadium is set for noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central on ESPN News. In the East Division, UCF will look to stay unbeaten when the Knights travel to take on a resurgent Temple squad. UCF, up to number 15 in the CFP rankings, is one of 3 unbeaten teams left in the country and are 9-0 for the first time in program history. A dynamic offense has led the way for the Knights, who lead the nation in scoring at nearly 49 points per game. Leading that offense has been quarterback Mackenzie Milton. Milton has enjoyed a breakout year with over 2,700 yards passing to complement 22 touchdowns. On the ground, Adrian Killens Jr. has been a nightmare for defenses, running for almost 600 yards and 8 TDs. After back-to-back wins, Temple sits 1 victory from becoming bowl eligible in head coach Jeff Collins' first season with the Owls. Quarterback Frank Newtile seems to have solidified his starting role, starting the last 3 games. Newtile has thrown for almost 900 yards to go along with 6 touchdowns this year. Isaiah Wright, the American Special Teams Player of the Week, after a 98-yard kickoff return touchdown last week, also has over 500 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. November has been kind to the Owls, who are 8-1 in the month since 2015. Temple and UCF will kick off from Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia at noon Eastern on ESPNU. It's senior day at Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium as ECU welcomes Cincinnati to Greenville. Both teams will be looking to bounce back after tough losses last week. Cincinnati has struck an offensive balance, with quarterback Hayden Moore throwing for 2,100 yards and 15 touchdowns in his first year as the full starter. Meanwhile, freshman Jared Dokes has had a promising first season, rushing for over a team-high 500 yards. Defensively, linebacker Jalen Miner has stood out for head coach Luke Fickell, leading the American with over 10 tackles per game. Miner will be out to slow an ECU offense that has been potent, with Gardner Minshew and Thomas Sirk running it. Minshew set an American Athletic Conference record for passing attempts 2 weeks ago and has thrown for over 1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns. Sirk has tossed 9 while running for 3 more. Davon Grayson has been the go-to receiver for both, leading the team with nearly 900 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns. Kickoff in Greenville is set for noon Eastern. CBS Sports Network has the game. The first of 2 non-conference games in the American is one of the nation's oldest continuous series. For the 91st straight year, Navy will meet Notre Dame. While Notre Dame leads the series, it is Navy who won last year's game, picking up a 28-27 win in Jacksonville. Navy's quarterback situation remains in flux as injuries sidelined Zach Abey and gave way to Malcolm Perry last week. Perry ran for a conference record 282 yards in his debut, but exited last week's win with an injury late in the game. Still, Navy will not waver from its triple option attack, which leads the nation in rushing offense no matter whom is at the helm. Notre Dame sits 8th in the CFP rankings, but the Fighting Irish are coming off a loss at Miami last Saturday. Navy's defense will be tested against an Irish offense putting up 38 points per game. Running back Josh Adams has run for over 1,200 yards to go along with 9 touchdowns. NBC has the game. Kickoff from Notre Dame is set for 3 p.m. Eastern. Another senior day happens in New Orleans as Tulane hosts Houston at Yulman Stadium. Houston comes into the game winners of 3 straight, while the Green Wave will need a victory to hold hope of becoming bowl eligible. After beginning the year at wide receiver, De'Aaron King has sparked the Cougs from the quarterback spot. In 2 starts, King has thrown for nearly 500 yards and 5 touchdowns without an interception. In addition, King has added 4 rushing. To boot, King is also the Cougars' 3rd leading receiver. His primary targets, Linnell Bonner and Stephen Dunbar, have combined for over 1,300 yards receiving and over 100 receptions. Defensively, Ed Oliver will lead a unit tasked with slowing Tulane's triple option. Oliver, a semifinalist for the Bednarik Award as the nation's top defensive player, has 10 tackles for a loss among his 53 tackles this year. Tulane returns home after snapping a 4-game slide last week, coming up with a huge stand in overtime to collect a win at ECU. The Green Wave's triple option boasts 5 players with over 200 yards on the ground. Dontrell Hilliard leads the bunch, sitting just 3 yards shy of 1,000 this year. Hilliard's 13 TDs are 2nd in the conference. On the other side of the ball, Perry Nickerson will lead a secondary looking to slow Houston's aerial attack. Nickerson, a semifinalist for the Jim Thorpe Award, has 4 INTs this year and is the Americans' career record holder with 14. ESPN News has the coverage of the game, which kicks off at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 Central. The final game of the night pits 2 New England adversaries as UConn meets Boston College. The game, while a home game for the Huskies, will be played in the home of the Boston Red Sox, venerable Fenway Park. Against a stout Boston College defense, UConn will look to continue its offensive improvement. On the year, the Huskies are almost 100 yards better than they averaged in 2016. Last week at UCF, David Pindle returned to the UConn starting lineup, and the QB accounted for nearly 300 total yards and 3 touchdowns. One of Pindle's top targets was Hergy Mayella. The receiver has pulled in 34 catches this season. Linebacker Junior Joseph will lead a UConn defense that will be facing Boston College's backup QB Darius Wade after the Eagles starter was hurt last week. At 5-5, Boston College sits 1 win from bowl eligibility and will likely rely on freshman running back A.J. Dillon. With at least 2 games to play, Dillon has already set the BC freshman rushing record, accounting for nearly 1,040 yards on the ground to go along with 8 touchdowns. Kickoff from Fenway Park is set for 7:30 p.m. Eastern. CBS Sports Network has the broadcast. Enjoy all of the games, and remember, American_FB is your place for highlights throughout the day on Twitter. And tomorrow, we will revisit the best moments from the week with Power Plays. Have a great rest of your weekend.